tacos together. No.
Holy shit!
Jesus.
Oh
Bobby,
my
stop! Bobby,
shit.
stop! What's wrong with you?
Woo!
Do not move!
No.
Do not move! What is wrong with you? Laura, are you dumb? How are you laughing at this?
Good. 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 Good.
What's happening? Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Rumble Taco Tuesday, YouTube. How y'all doing? Yeah. What's up? This is Royce Media coming to Rumble and coming to YouTube with another live stream. It's Taco Tuesday. What's up? Yeah. Y'all gonna be eating tacos today, as usual? Yeah. What kind of tacos y'all gonna eat today? You gonna eat steak tacos? You gonna eat ground beef tacos, chicken tacos, shrimp tacos, buttocks tacos? Yeah, I know y'all nasty freaks out there. I know what you do. Yeah. Yeah. So, what's going on today? Second day of the week. Got 3 more to go before Friday comes and the weekend gets here. Hopefully, you guys in the Northeast and the Midwest, hopefully it'll warm up a little bit for you this weekend. It's going to warm up for us here in Northern Florida. Northeast Florida is going to warm up a little bit. So we can get back outside and be on the beach and watch people from the Midwest and the Northeast run around with no shirts on because it's 70 some degrees. You know, hey, y'all be out there running around. It'll be 63. Floridians be wearing coats and stuff, while people from the Midwest, they'll be out there half naked, man. They're known with shorts and tennis shoes jogging. Oh, this is great. Yeah. Yeah, we know what y'all do. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a lot going on in the news as usual. Um, there's so much to talk about that we got to narrow it down to one topic. And the topic I chose to talk about today is the switch. The switch is a term used by the creator of the Happy Wife School. And this refers to the ability of women in marriages and long term relationships to turn off their sexual uh, appetites and cravings for the one that they're with. And then, if there's a divorce or separation that happens and they find somebody new, they turn it right back on. Now, Happy Wife School, she the way she explained it, it's really an eye opener, and it puts together a lot of things that men have suspected for years, and it really contains it all into one theory. We're gonna take a look at that video, and I'll be adding my commentary. And if you all have anything to say in the comments, please do so. If you have any questions, if I can answer them, I will answer them. Um, that being the case, as you all come into the video, do me a favor. As you all come into the live stream, do me a favor. Hit that like button, and if you're feeling really jazzy, do me a favor and announce yourselves and where you're from, because I always like to know where my audience is watching from, and that helps me out a lot, and it just gives me a pretty good idea of who's tuning in. With that, we are going to take a look at this uh, happy wife happy wife school video and I'll provide the commentary. Fair use, fair use.
So I want to give good men that inside secret of why. And for the women listening, we have to know these are the things that I denied and that we all deny. So in order to understand this is your experience, and if these are the reasons why, that's a good thing because we can fix it. Because everything, each one of these is in our control to change. It's in our power to change. And you have to be honest with yourself. Because you can say, no, that's not it. No, Karen doesn't understand. This is my own personal experience. It's from working with hundreds of women who have all shared the exact same thing. So if you're with a good man and you enjoyed having sex with him before you got married, and then you got disinterested and it became a chore and a checklist, I encourage you to give yourself the gift of seeing why the real reason why you've stopped enjoying sex, because this puts you in control. As long as it's your upbringing, your family, your parents, men, your husband, no pun intended, you're screwed because you can't change. So be open, try to be open to seeing this and being honest with yourself. So the first reason why as women we lose interest in sex once we are married and we stop wanting sex. The first reason, we're going to save the biggest one for last. But the first reason, number one, is every time we have sex, we feel like we're giving another piece of ourselves away that we don't have to give. Feel like we're giving a piece of ourselves away and we feel like an object, and that our husband is just taking.
You know, it's funny that you have women that feel that way when the fact is that every time a man has to defend a woman's honor, he has to turn over a paycheck, he has to do things that makes his wife feel secure. Men don't say, well, I feel like a tool or a pack mule. I don't hear men say that. I don't think nobody has given commentary of men saying that anywhere. And if they do me a favor, send it to me in an email so that I can see that men in marriages are saying this, um, are just up and saying this. But women are saying that they feel like they have to give a piece of married women are feeling that they are giving away a piece of themselves every time they have sex. It's funny that doesn't come up before the marriage. You know, um, I call it the routine trap. Let's continue.
Something from us that isn't there to give in the first place. And the reason that we feel that way, that we're giving that piece of ourselves away, is because it stems from our disconnection from ourselves. And it stems from our unhealthy relationship with ourselves, which is that disconnection, which is what I call being unhappy.
I like the way she put it, is that this is an issue with the women themselves. This is not an issue, oftentimes, with the men that they are coupled with. This is, this is something that's going on in um, women's own heads. And for whatever reason, they aren't happy. And, you know, a lot of women nowadays, especially, aren't happy. And I think it's because life is too easy for them. A lot of them talk about how unhappy they are, and I'm like, you know what? Um, think about those women in the past. They were really unhappy because they had real stuff to deal with. These women don't even have to do housework. We have robots and appliances that do most of the things for them, and they can work. They can go out and work and make money and all kinds of stuff. Women now are freer than they've ever been in the history of humankind. Let's continue.
No one's home. No one's in here. We're not connected to ourselves. So we have nothing to give. And from that place of being disconnected, that place of being unhappy, we are drained and we're empty because we're putting everything and everyone else before us. There's no consideration of ourselves. There's no thought of what do I need to be doing to care for myself so that I can be full and whole and have plenty to give to my husband and plenty to give to my kids and other relationships. We know we are the queens of putting ourselves last, which is fascinating because we're so selfish and so self-centered, which actually stems from putting ourselves last.
You know what's funny is that there's a saying, and I've said this before, um, save the women and children. You know, this is always the women first. Nobody puts himself last like a working man. You know, he'll go without shoes. He'll go without new shoes just so the family can have the things that they need. He'll go without, um, new clothes. He'll go um, with less food. Men in marriages almost always put themselves last. We even have it to where uh, it is looked down upon for a woman to serve a man set a plate before a man and serve that man a plate before she serves her children. Not only do men put themselves last, our society puts men last. Let's continue.
Because then we're drained and we're empty and we feel entitled than to pull sex away because we have nothing to give in the first place. So that's the first reason why we lose interest and stop wanting sex. The second reason of why we lose interest and stop wanting sex in our marriages is self-punishment. Number 2 is self-punishment.
Earn a respected degree at WGU. Start with a $2,500 scholarship.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local.
I don't deserve anything that's going to make me feel good. Because we feel so bad about ourselves on the inside. We are so insecure. We pick ourselves apart. We are constantly comparing ourselves to other women and their lives and what we think their lives look like. We tear down how we look physically and just beat ourselves up. And we know this as women. We know this, and we can put a facade on and pretend we don't.
Again, this is simply a feeling coming from women when the fact is that their lives are pretty comfortable, and it is, in fact, men that actually physically beat themselves up, stress themselves out, um, winding up in an early grave just to uh, attempt to keep a woman happy. Let's continue.
Have this. I was real good at that. But if we get really honest with ourselves and we shine the flashlight, we will see how bad we feel about ourselves. And then we withhold and deprive ourselves of anything that will make us feel good. Sex is designed to be a pleasurable experience. It's why God made us the way that we are and the organs that we have. And we're made to enjoy it, both as women and as men. So the reason that we don't is being shut down. And again, and there's other reasons to that, but number 2, we lose interest because it's a form of self-punishment. The third reason that we lose interest in sex and stop wanting sex, number 3, we need to be in control. As women, once we get married, we get older, the more and more rigid we become, the more afraid we become of life, and we start to grasp and clench on very, very tightly and trying to control everything in life. And sex is a relationship and a context in life that threatens that sense of control and makes us feel like we are going to lose control because if you're gonna have fun and enjoy sex, you got to loosen up a little bit. And we don't want to lose that control. And we feel we lose the spontaneity and the enjoyment and exploration that we had when we were younger with sex. And so we don't want to loosen the reins and actually enjoy sex because we're terrified of losing control. And again, ladies, this is the stuff that hides, that we suppress, that we deny, that we make unconscious, that we have to shake up and look at so that we can actually change it. One of the best things that my mentor ever taught me is that as long as we deny it, we cannot heal it. We can only heal that which we are willing to expose and be vulnerable and look at.
Okay, this right here, this is what that honesty and self-awareness has to come in. You know, there's a lot of talk about women wanting men to be emotionally intelligent. And at the same time, these are women who refuse to acknowledge that this switch exists. It is very real, and it is a them problem. It is something that they have to reconcile and fix in themselves. And quite often, when they don't, they destroy relationships with otherwise good men. Let's continue.
The fourth reason that as women we lose interest in sex and we stop wanting sex, we never learn to enjoy it for ourselves in the first place. That's number 4. We never learned to enjoy it for ourselves in the first place. We had sex for all the wrong reasons. We use sex as a weapon and a manipulation to get men or to get our needs of feeling wanted and liked and accepted and loved met.
There it is. And that's where she really begins to start telling the truth. That's where she begins to tell the truth. And this is the part you really need to um, accept and realize, gentlemen. It is sex before marriage and in new relationships with women could very oftentimes be a manipulation tactic. Let's continue.
And we had sex for the man. We did what we thought we needed to do that they like to get them. And we never stopped to think, what do I like? We put on a show and we think, oh, I need to be like this woman, or I need to be like what men see in porn. And we start to put on the show and we're never true to ourselves. And we never really learn what we like. And ultimately, it means we're shut down to sex and we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel and we don't want to explore and understand ourselves and what we actually like and what we don't like. And then learn to be ourselves in sex. Ladies, I can promise you all good men want is for you to be yourself in sex. It doesn't, I promise you, my husband and I like to explore a lot of different things in the beginning of our relationship. And things change once you get married and you get older and you find what you like and what you don't like. And my husband said, I'm just so glad you're yourself and you know what you like and enjoy. And I'm so happy. He said this morning when we were talking, when he asked about
This part right here. And I think this is what we see commonly. Now, on social media, you have a lot of guys talking about, oh, I only date dimes. My woman is dime. You know, that first of all, a lot of that is in the eye of the beholder, number one. And number two, if you really want to understand the women that are getting in relationships and women that are having kids, walk around Target, Walmart, or any outdoor festival or flea market and stuff. Look at the women that's walking around with kids. Look at the women that are walking around with their husbands and you know, their significant others. Look at what these women look like. And these men have pretty much accepted these women as for who they are, and they understand that these women are pretty much the best that they're going to get. And most of these women are like twos and threes. That's just being honest. Let's continue.
What my show was about. He was like, yeah, sex sure is fun now. It's about knowing yourself and what you like. And for us as women, we're so messed up around sex. Men understand sex for what it is. It's a physical experience. It's an enjoyable physical experience that we were made to have. And we have all the right parts to enjoy it and for it to be pleasurable. But as women, we make it emotional and we make it about love. I made sex about beginning a relationship. And that if and sex meant relationship and sex meant love. We cannot be further off from that. It's a physical experience we get to enjoy. And when we're married, there's one person that we can enjoy that with, which is our husbands. So we never explored sex for ourselves. A lot of us is when we don't even know our bodies. We don't even understand our bodies sexually. And we're scared to go there because we've made it so big and overwhelming. And we don't know what we like. We don't know what we don't like. And
All right. uh, you know, if you sit up and you watch shows like The View, you watch all of these shows in the past, like the Oprah Winfrey Show, Ellen DeGeneres, different things like that. If you watched women talk shows in the past, and you could see just how uncomfortable these women were with their own bodies. They didn't like the way that they looked. This is why the plastic surgery industry is such a large industry. And you got women running around getting fake uh, breast augmentations, BBLs, mommy makeovers, and stuff. They are just inherently not happy with how they look. And not only are they not happy, many of them not happy with how they look, they criticize how other women look. Right now, there's a meme going on in social media where they're where it's women making fun of how Taylor Swift is built. You know, Taylor Swift is she's a pretty svelte woman. She doesn't have a whole lot of curves and stuff. And there are women, black women, saying that Travis Kelsey gave up Kayla Nicole, his former girlfriend, the black girlfriend, gave up Kayla Nicole for Taylor Swift, who has no ass. And my response was that, well, first of all, she didn't run out and get a BBL, so it shows that she's actually comfortable with herself, and she's a billionaire. You know, but these are the conversations that women have, and these are some of the things that women do to themselves and to each other. Let's continue.
because we've never learned to enjoy it for ourselves and done that exploration to understand what we like and don't like, we buy in to all the myths that are fed to us by society and psychology and our friends and the books we read, all these myths that we're like ovens and we need to be turned on, and we're told how we're supposed to enjoy sex. So that we need a lot of foreplay, that we need to be warmed up, that we have to get to an orgasm every single time, that we need it to last a long time, that our husband needs to do all the work to get us in the mood, which isn't going to happen. And number 5 is going to explain why. You have to explore what you like. I learned for myself, and the majority of women that I have worked with, I learned don't need a lot of foreplay. It doesn't need to be this complicated, big production. The simpler I make it, the more I enjoy it. And then the more my husband enjoys it.
Okay, with this one right here, the reason women like variety, and I get it. They like a lot of different colors. We see what they do with their hair, their eyes, the clothes that they wear. They like a lot of different variety. Men tend to be pretty simple. Um, I think men tend to tire of variety quicker than women do. Lots of times you can have a man that'll eat the same lunch or the same dinner or the same series of food every day for the rest of his lives. Whereas, women got to have a whole lot of different stuff because the way their minds work, their minds constantly change. They don't really fixate on what they like. They only fixate on what they don't like. you know, uh, so this is what you have happen. This is why they need a whole bunch of different types of stimulation, and so instead of simplifying life for themselves and being both emotionally and physically aware, they put the onus on other things outside of themselves, and a lot of times that fall onto the men that they're with, and it creates a lot of truthfully unnecessarily work. Um, this is why uh, you know guys talk about the dead starfish, which that's women putting the onus on men to do all the work or to do the majority of the work sexually. In my opinion, it's really reflective of laziness and not being aware of their own bodies, not not being taught properly about their own bodies, and because of that, they can't enjoy sexual experiences. Um, and conversely, uh, sometimes it's overstimulation where they've had so much for so long. That's the only thing that they can tolerate is so much for so long, and it either way it becomes a problem because there's not a sense of balance and there's not a sense of honesty and awareness. Let's continue.
So you've got to do the work to explore for yourself and not just buy into what we're told of how we're wired with sex, because a lot of it, and don't mean this crass, is BS. It's BS when you really get to know yourself and you open yourself up and you stop shutting down. You will find it so much simpler than you ever imagine. So I'll get into that more in another video. I could talk about that for a long time. So that was number 4. Number 5, this is the most important because this is the core issue with sex. So pay attention, and then we're getting into a solution. The 5th reason of why women lose interest in sex and stop wanting sex once they are married.
With over 170 flavors, Crumble always has a cookie to help celebrate the sweet victories in life.
Have weakened our husbands beyond the point of being attracted to them. Number 5, I'm going to repeat it because it's the most important one. We have weakened our husbands to the point of no longer being attracted to them.
Hey, this is a deep one. You know, what she's about to go into is something that I've seen a lot. We see it all the time, but a lot of times we don't recognize it for what it is. This is uh, this is really when women have felt that they want a man to change. They want a man to they'll get a man, he's a bad boy, or he'll be a certain way before they come into a relationship and a marriage. And they're constantly nagging him to change, to give up certain hobbies and certain pastimes, or a certain way of thinking, certain ways of dressing and stuff. They put all this pressure on men to make all these changes. Then when these men make these changes, in order to keep this woman happy, or at least to uh, keep some peace and contentment in their lives, when they give up that sovereignty and they make these changes for that woman, they become a person that woman no longer is attracted to. Let's continue.
That's what happens, ladies. When we emasculate our husbands, meaning we shame them, we make them wrong constantly, we nitpick everything that they do. We tell them, give them the message constantly how they are not good enough. We are constantly trying to change them. We treat them like children. And this is how we treat our husbands, and we emasculate them. All those examples, that's how we emasculate. We strip our husbands of their sense of being a man, and weaken them and make them a shell of a man. Of course, we're not attracted to them after we do that to them. The most common word that gets used, and this is where I had gotten to, and it wasn't my husband's fault. It was my own doing. The most common word that we use as women of what happens once we weaken our husbands to the point of no longer being attracted to them is we are repulsed by them. We find them repulsive.
Okay. Earlier I mentioned back in the day the different talk shows like, Oprah Winfrey, Maury, Ellen DeGeneres, the View and certain things. A lot of those different shows, we would often see that when they would have couples on, and they would have them on trying to repair marriages and stuff, you would see exactly what Happy Wife School is talking about. Uh, you would see the women say things like this, and this was because this is really a defeated man. When women say stuff like this is because they conquered that man. You know, this is why this is why I say that men are the prize, and you have to constantly, as a man, be better than the woman you would, because the minute that woman sees you as doing everything she wants, or that woman sees you as an equal, she no longer respects you. She looks at you like, oh, I can take him. Oh, I've had you. I conquered you, and she is no longer interested in you. Let's continue.
That's what happens for us when we emasculate our husbands, is we become repulsed. And it is our own doing. It is our own doing through the emasculation that we become repulsed by our husbands.
You know what she said. I agree with a lot. Not only that, our society has also facilitated this, and really encouraged this, in trying to in the effort to elevate women. They unduly suppressed men, and now you have men that most women are repulsed by, And the thing about it is, as a man, most times you can't really push back against that that emotional and mental assault and even physical assault brought on by women that are in relationships. Even women that aren't in relationships, even out in public, you have women that will be 5'2", 120 pounds. She'll get into a verbal disagreement with a 6 foot tall, 210 pound man and have no problems putting hands on him because she does not only does she not respect that man, she doesn't have to legally, and she'll be defended by both the law and the people around her. So she can act out in her disrespect and disgust and treat men in a way that you can't treat women. Let's continue.
And ultimately, the emasculation, the weakening of our husbands stems from how we feel about ourselves, and that we're repulsed by ourselves when this is how we treat our husbands who are good men, and we shame them and we make them wrong and nothing they can do is right, and we're cruel and we're unkind from that place. It's a reflection of how much we don't like ourselves and how deep down truly how we loathe and hate ourselves. And we don't have the context to see that and go there and resolve it and work on it. We don't get the right context. We're taken in the wrong direction, thinking we feel those ways because it's our upbringing, our childhood, our family, our parents, our past. And there's no solution there.
I notice a difference when I take Alpha Brain. I am on another plane. I'm working at
taught how to go in and take responsibility. No, we don't feel good about ourselves because of the choices and decisions we make. And in this context of marriage, how we show up in our relationships is not good women and not good people. So then we don't feel good about ourselves and we take it out on our husbands because we think we're justified and think it's them. They're the ones causing us to feel that way. But the truth is we're repulsed by ourselves. And then we've projected that onto our husbands and weakened them. And then we're no longer attracted to them. So those are the top 5 reasons of why as women, we stop wanting sex and lose interest once we are married. Number 1, I'll summarize them real quick. Every time we have sex, we feel like we're giving a piece of ourselves away that we don't have to give because of how empty we are on the inside from not giving ourselves what we need and caring for ourselves. Number 2, self-punishment. We feel so bad about ourselves that we don't believe we deserve anything that feels good. Number 3, the need to be in control, that if we have sex, we're going to lose control. Number 4, we've never learned to enjoy sex for ourselves. We've always had it for the wrong reasons. And we've had sex for the man and never done the work to understand ourselves in sex and then buy into all these myths and stories about what we need as women with sex. And number 5, most importantly, we've weakened our husbands beyond the point of being attracted to them. So let's get into the solution. I want to talk.
All right. Now that she's pretty much summarized what she sees the problem as when it comes to what we're talking about today, and that's the switch of sexuality in women who are in marriages and long-term relationships. What do you guys feel about that? Let me get some let me see some comments in the chat. Shout out to Mike Reed. Mike Reed says, Cap, he says it's a power play, it's another lie. Mike, I have to agree with you on some of that because definitely I think she was trying to provide cover for her female audience and for women in general, and some of that, it's really, it's like you said, it's a power play. It's a manipulation in that sex is used to get what that woman wants until she has it, and then when she has it, and Happy Wife School said this before in the video. Um, Once she gets what she wants, then she feels she doesn't have to do the work before. So I do agree with you that there's some cap in there, and that is definitely a power play. Uh, as far as it being another lie, yeah, you know what? I gotta agree somewhat in that it's let's say it's a gray lie. It's not quite a white lie. It's not quite a black lie, but it is a gray lie. So yeah, I'm gonna say I pretty much agree with what you say, um, and I just pretty much elaborated why. Let's continue. Let's continue. Well, before we continue, does anybody else have anything to say about what Happy Wife School has said so far? Mike Reed says they cause this. Only the youngest generation can make a change to a new relationship dynamic. Yeah, that's true. The problem is that they've been so indoctrinated with a lot of this feminist garbage. I realistically see that I don't think the change is going to be for the better. I think the change is going to be for the worse. And that's actually something I might address in a future video. I've been seeing some stuff where uh, things like polyamory are on the rise. I've been seeing articles like that, and we'll probably uh, take a deep dive into that, take a look at that, and see what the article is saying, and I'll give my commentary on it. Mike Reed says a lie, or she's believing her own delusion. Both could be true. Both can be true. So I'll tell you this much about the next generation making a change. Time will tell in which direction that change will go. Let's get back to the video.
Talk to men and women both, and then that'll set us up for the individual solutions. Because remember, this is about taking responsibility, and there's a responsibility men need to take and a responsibility women need to take, but they are different. But to get there, here's what we have to know for the solution for when your wife loses interest in sex and she stops wanting sex. And this is why you can't listen to the people out there trying to give solutions around sex. It's not going to work. The core issue is that sex is not the problem. You cannot work on sex to fix the issues around sex and your marriage. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive. Sex is not the problem. Sex is a symptom of a much bigger core issue. If you try to work on sex, which is what I did, what my husband and I try to do in our marriage, it makes it so much worse. And it's such a nightmare, and it makes it such a bigger problem than it actually is, because we're not working on the right problem. The problem is the emasculation. The problem, or where the issues around sex stem from, is the emasculation of a wife, or the emasculation of a good man by his wife. That's the core issue. That's what has to be worked on.
This is a big one. This is a big one because society encourages it. You know, the whole thing with a woman serving a man a plate. You know how often and how bad that is looked down upon in many of it's certainly looked down on in ADOS FBA households. they abhor that, and they have a trope. Niggas ain't shit. You know, it's like they've made songs on that, and you know they've had it in movies with all of the neck rolling, and you know, and I don't need no man and stuff. And we've seen this out of single women, but we've also seen this attitude out of married women. Look at what Tina Knowles did to her ex-husband. Look at how that video that came out with the interview that was done with her and her now ex-husband a couple years ago, and how she downplayed an otherwise accomplished man. This man was a pilot in Vietnam. He was an accomplished actor. He was a older guy who kept most of his looks intact. He had a lot going on. You know, he really had his choice in women, but he always had a thing for Tina Knowles. And when she divorced uh, her first husband, he took the opportunity to jump in the car with her, and we saw how that woman treated him. And this guy loved her dirty draws. This is that emasculation. She treated a solid guy like she treated him like he wasn't that important. You know, we see this all the time. Let's continue.
There's a different solution for that for women than there is for good men. But that's the reason why your wife has lost interest, is she's emasculated you and she's no longer attracted to you. So you're not going to get her attracted to you by using these tips and tactics that other influencers are teaching. Like, you need to build your game back up with your wife.
Hey, you have an hour this week, right? Yeah. Great, I can teach you how to play 100 songs on piano in an hour. No way. All you need to learn is 4 chords, these.
Or play hot and cold with her, or build up the tension. That is really bad advice, because you're not working on the core issue to begin with. If you've been emasculated and weakened by your wife and you try to have game with her, she is going to annihilate you. If my husband, when we were at this point in our marriage, tried some of these things people are teaching, I would have been a total B. I would have been like, what are you doing? Because we're, again, sadly, from the emasculation, we're repulsed. And a good man who's been emasculated and weakened doesn't have the strength or confidence to do any of the things that these people are teaching you to do. And then they're putting it on you that it's your problem to fix. And we're not dealing with the right issue. Sorry, I get passionate about this because I feel for the men falling for.
All right, let me talk about this for a minute. This is where men doing their own things for their self enrichment and self improvement. This is where that becomes important. This is also where uh, not putting too much weight on what women say becomes important, because the thing about it is, ultimately you're going to have to live with yourself, and you're going to have to be the man you are regardless. So a lot of changing and trying to uh, kowtow to a woman's desires, a lot of that ain't gonna work. And this also, where it becomes important to nip disrespect in the bud early on in a relationship. Do not let a woman talk crazy to you. Do not let her constantly bombard you with shit tests. Put her in her place when she goes too far with that. Women will always test boundaries. This is where you have to set firm boundaries, and this is where they have to know that under no circumstances will you tolerate disrespect, that you are willing to throw it all away. I'm not saying physically, not saying go, hit upside the head and you know, drag out, out off to the basement. But if, when women know you are willing to leave, when they know that you will throw it all away and start it over somewhere else without them, they know that you absolutely will not tolerate disrespect. That puts the onus on them to either, hey, you're going to continue to deal with this man and you're going to deal with him respectfully, or they're going to make their way. They're going to go. They're going to go there about their way and go about their business and get out of your life. Thing is you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared to walk away yourself. Do not tolerate disrespect, because once you once you do, that disrespect is going to grow. So you have to nip it in the bud as fast and as often as you can.
For this, and I feel for the women too, because I tried to work on all the technique and strategies with sex, and it just created a giant nightmare. We have to work on the core issue, which is the emasculation. So men, the best strategy for you, for your wife to potentially, there's a 50-50 chance for your wife to potentially re-engage with sex, is don't work on sex. You have to work on what are the weaknesses in me. This is your responsibility part. So you don't.
There might not even be a situation where there's weakness in you. You might just be dealing with just a genuinely uh, a woman who is genuinely predisposed to be disrespectful. What you have to do is to be ready to deal with that right away, because you might be fine. And Happy Wife School has already admitted that most of this, really all of it, it's the problem of the women. And some women are just going to try to be disrespectful no matter what. And you basically have to um, figure out a way to keep that woman in line. You cannot let up. You cannot be nice. Uh, you cannot be soft, because when you do, she sees that as a sign of weakness and she will go in. I have a relative like that who, you know, she would physically um, she would physically challenge men. And the minute a man says, "Well, I don't hit women, I don't hit women," she would go, "Oh, I got a punk." Yeah. And she would really go in, because she knew that there wasn't a consequence for her behavior. And again, I'm not saying that there has to be a physically violent consequence. That's a no-win situation for you as a man, but there has to be, absolutely has to be, some type of consequence. You know, whether it is cutting a woman off from some kind of attention or service or something like that, there has to be a consequence. In this day and age, what they're doing now socially, um, they've come up with this term called financial abuse, which is basically, withholding funds from a woman, because they don't apply financial abuse when it comes to men. But they have this term financial abuse, and it's regarding, penalizing, or keeping a woman from spending the money that she wants to spend, even if she's not earning it. And so, um, this is something that has to be challenged, through legislation, through um, through debate, through philosophy. This has to be challenged because if this is not taken serious, men who provide a consequence for bad female behavior, a financial consequence, will be in trouble for financial abuse. Let's continue.
Become a victim. And good men want this. Good men want a solution. They want to figure this out. They want to strengthen themselves. You have to look at what are the weaknesses in me that allows me to be emasculated by my wife, not for her sake, for you.
Hey, Mike Reed, the fun spear. Patrice O'Neal called them the fun spear. Let's continue.
It's not okay or right that she's doing it, but it's happening. So you have to look at what can I do about this? So you have to look at what is it in me that causes me to shrink down to my wife and give my power away to her, and that she can make me feel this big and just a shell of a man. What is that in me? Because what happens when you look at that and you learn to stand up for yourself and stand up to your wife in a responsible, respectful manner?
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars, wasting tons of time on
no longer allow the emasculation to work on you? It doesn't mean she will stop necessarily, but over time, as you build that strength in yourself and you understand what's going on, it bounces off. And it's from that place, if you have an open-minded woman and she wants to look at herself and she wants to change, you start standing up to her in a responsible, respectful way, not necessarily around sex. I'm talking about all the small day-to-day stuff. Over time, when you don't buy into it and you stop trying to make her happy, and you understand you're not the source of her unhappiness, that's where she's.
In other words, stop tap dancing for these women. A lot of guys, you got a lot of guys out there that be tap dancing and you know, dancing the jig for women and what about the sisters? I can't stand them guys. What about this? Oh, I'll always defend. I can't stand them guys. And you have a bunch of them out there. You have a whole bunch of the happy wife, happy life guys. I can't stand them guys. Whenever a man says that to me, I make it a point to correct him. No, it's happy spouse, happy house. You're supposed to be making each other happy. That's stupid, that happy wife, happy life stuff. That will have you in a trick bag for the rest of the time you're married. And because guess what? Women always find a reason to be unhappy. They may not stay that way, but they'll always find some stuff that they're going to bitch and complain about because life is too easy for them. They don't have any real dangers to worry about for the most part, especially if they are under the covering of a man. Let's continue.
She's likely to respect you and be attracted to you again, because she knows that you'll stand up to her and you're not going to shrink down to her. And there's a way for good men to learn to do that in a responsible, constructive way where it's not a power struggle. You're not trying to overpower your wife. That will not work. And that's what I teach good men. I teach good.
There shouldn't be a power struggle. Um, a good woman will know that, especially if she is from an Abrahamic religion, and when I say that, I mean Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. If she is from one of those religions, if she has that background, she already knows that uh, the Creator has a hierarchy. It is God, man, woman, children. She already knows this. There shouldn't be a power struggle. Now for secularists and humanists, hey, they got to figure out their own stuff. They're busy being confused about their genders and different things like that. But if you come from Abrahamic religious background, you already know what the order is. That woman already knows what that order is. And if you got married in a religious center that is that is the realm of one of those places, you need to make sure that that woman abides by that. And to be fair, you need to abide by it as well. You need to stand on what it is you know and what you've been taught. But at the same time, you need to remind that woman, hey, listen, this is what it is. This is that order. This is not, you know, you do what you feel like. You need to do what we know what is expected of us. And I think that gets lost even among I noticed it a long time ago with Christians, and now I'm starting to see it with Muslim women that a lot of them are uh, really trying to put their nuts on the table. A lot of them are trying to be the hog with the big nuts, you know. And I think it's because it's not that I think I know. It's because men are weaker, you know. Men have been softened up to the point to where it's damn near same-sex marriages, you know. And all that being said, you know, you as a man, you have to stand on being a man. And I think this is why we need to bring back rites of passage, and steps to become a man, because now we're considering everybody with the penis and that is grown with hair under their arms and hair on their genitals, we're considering them men when they've done nothing to qualify as a man. They don't, they just grow up. And that is something that I think we as men, we have to change. You know, the only people that have a rite of passage apparently is gangbangers. You know, they go to the joint and you come back, you're official. And I think regular everyday men, we have to get back to having our own rites of passage. There used to be things like the Boy Scouts. There used to be things like joining the military and stuff. But now we've letting all kind of weirdos and ne'er do wells take over those realms and infect those realms with their debauchery and nonsense. We either got to take that stuff back or we have to create something new, and then make sure we keep the weirdos and keep the women out of it. A lot of you guys be worried. Let's see what the sisters got to say. You need to stop that sissy ass shit. It's sissy shit. You know, this is why these are the same guys that want to get in the MMA fights and beauty contests competing against women. It's sissy stuff. And we got to stop it. We got to the stuff that they're already in, write it off as a lost cause, because women voted for that stuff. Women supported that stuff. We need to create some new stuff of our own as men, and we need to keep women out, and we need to keep weird ass men out, and we need to keep simps out. You know, the minute he told you, well, let's get some sisters, throw that motherfucker out on his head. It is what it is. Throw him out on his head. Get rid of him. Excommunicate him. Make him persona non grata. Get him out. You know, you got a guy that want to walk around in dresses and wear panty thongs and stuff. Get him up out of there. He's got places he can go. He can go disco dance at a club in Los Angeles or San Francisco. Get him up out of there. Don't be afraid to get them up out of there, because you can't come in their environment and do what they do without complying and being what they are. So get them up out of yours. Your type ain't welcome here. It sounds sexist. It sounds discriminatory. Oh, well. Everybody got to complain about something. Let's continue.
Men the constructive process to regain their strength, regain their confidence, so they can stand up to their wife's emasculation in a responsible way that makes them stronger and allows them to know who is your wife. Is she willing to change? If you don't allow her to emasculate you anymore and it doesn't work, she will likely begin to respect you. She'll be attracted to you again.
No News Podcast. Facts. Facts all day. This is why women are in barbershops. Now, the barbershop where men could talk freely and debate ideas and just be men, it is now full of women. Football games now full of women. And you got football teams wearing pink and all kinds of stuff. You know, like I said, places like that, you know, you got to write it off as a loss and create something new.
I worked on myself, and that's where we're going next is the solution for women. I worked on myself to no longer emasculate my husband. And then as my husband and I began to have a dance and he got stronger in himself, he began to stand up to me because I'm not perfect. I say that all the time. I'm human and I'm a woman and I'm not perfect. I make mistakes and my husband will stick up to me. And I find it hot. And then I'm attracted to him. I remember a few years ago, I was like, I've got the hots again for my husband. My husband's a really, really good looking guy and a wonderful man to boot. And
when you make a woman respect you, that goes a long way. And that's why I say you have to nip disrespect in the bud. You have to nip it in the bud. You have to deal with it right away. And I'm not saying, go shake her unconscious and stuff, but you got to deal with it. You got to, hey, no, nope, this is not going to happen. You're not going to do this. And you got to address it as uh, as expeditiously as possible. You cannot let disrespect ride. Let's continue.
it was like, oh, and it wasn't any sexual tactic that he tried. It's because I saw him as a man because he respected himself enough to stand up to me. The emasculation should never happen in the first place, but it's how we're wired, and it's the differences in my beliefs. It's the differences in how God has made us. That's our path to grow and learn and become strong in ourselves, both as men.
You heard what she said? Did you guys hear what she said? She said that's how they are wired. I'm telling you, if you give them an inch in disrespect, they'll take a mile. So you have to deal with disrespect immediately. You have to always maintain a frame of respect. And again, I'm not saying get loud, get crazy, get violent, but you have to address disrespect right expeditiously. You cannot let it ride because the more disrespect that they can get away with, the more disrespect they will employ and display. Let's continue.
In women, but you have to work on the emasculation. Don't work on sex. It won't work. If you want a good example of why a good man trying to have game in his relationship to win back his wife and have her re-engage with sex, there's a movie called Hitch. It's an older movie, and Will Smith, ironically, teaches men to have game, like just good men.
Hey, did y'all catch that slick disc? She slick disc Will. Yeah, hey, I see what you did, Happy Wife School. Let's continue.
Good, just everyday men that have trouble getting women. He tries to teach them to have game, and there's one guy, the main character in it. He's like, no, you got to kind of give Will Smith is teaching him. You kind of got to give a sultry look and kind of like bite your lip a little bit. And he's doing it and you're looking all weird. And Will Smith's like, stop it.
You went to your Ford dealer and got a used vehicle with.
What will happen if you try those tactics? So I digress. I'll get on to the solution to women. So women, we have to deal with the root issue of why do we emasculate in the first place? Why do we emasculate our husbands and make them wrong and bad and make them so small? Again, it's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves and the unhealthy relationship we have with ourselves, where we are empty, we're disconnected, we don't feel good about who we are. We have to work. You don't have to work on sex. That was the biggest relief to me because I was trying to work on all the technique and sex and and it was, the more I did that, the more and more and more I just shut down and became more terrified of sex. So you don't have to work on sex. It was like the biggest weight off of me when I realized I didn't have to work on sex. Women, we have to work on the core issue of learning to feel good about ourselves and having a healthy relationship with ourselves, which I call the journey of being happy. And that's what I teach women. That's where we have to work. And that's the core issue we have to work on. So when we learn to be happy, meaning having a healthy relationship with ourselves, then sex and the issues around sex are really simple because you can know sex is just a choice.
And there it is. Once again, the switch to turn sexuality on and off is a choice. And that this is something that women have to work on in themselves. All of those crazy feelings that they have, that stuff they have to work on in themselves. You as a man can't fix it. What you as a man can do is you can do what it takes to make your life more comfortable, to make your situation more bearable, and to provide a consequence for bad behavior from that woman. But ultimately, she has to fix herself. Don't forget that she has to fix herself, you know. So all of that, um, put that, you got to put that woman first. No, you need to put yourself first, even as a married man. You need to put yourself first. Make sure you are straight, then make sure, um, you know, your house is straight. Make sure your situation is straight. You're doing the things you need to do for yourself. Hopefully, that woman, you let her know she got some work she got to do on herself, and let her know when as long as she puts forth a good effort, you're there to help her. But ultimately, you need to take care of yourself, and you need to take care of your progeny. You know, she needs to do what it takes to fix herself. Be it get some you know some psychological help, some medicinal help, something. She needs to take ownership of her own problem. Stop letting these women put these problems on you when it's really coming from themselves. Let's continue.
When you learn to enjoy sex for yourself, it's just a choice to open up to it and enjoy it. Because here's the truth. Sex is how you allow yourself to feel, not how your husband makes you feel or how a technique or a toy makes you feel. It's how you allow yourself to feel. And you have to do that by being open and remembering that you enjoy sex and remembering how you enjoyed it when you first met your husband. He's still the same good man. And then it's just a choice of, I want to enjoy having sex with my husband. It's so simple. If you allow yourself to feel and allow yourself to enjoy it, you will have pleasure during sex. The only reason that we would not enjoy sex or find it pleasurable, because there are some women, I'm talking to the women today who know they've become disinterested in sex and it's a chore and they don't know what's happened, and they know they're not attracted to their husband anymore, and they're trying to figure out why. There are a smaller fraction.
I'm gonna tell you something. She really doesn't mention this. A lot of them miss that street meat. Straight up, they miss that variety of meat. They miss being on the carousel. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They miss playing hot potato. They miss the wildness and freedom of the streets. And the thing is that they're coping with overcoming that lots of times. And the thing about it is, a good woman will resolve that in herself, but we see that a lot of the women who aren't good women, they wind up back in the streets, to their own peril. And the thing is we can no longer feel sorry for women like that. We cannot give them a social parachute. We cannot give them a way out and excuse their behavior. It is what it is. You want to miss the streets and you want to be out there for the streets for the wolves. That's on you. Let's continue.
Fraction of women who say that they've never enjoyed sex. And the only reason that we haven't is because we've shut down to it. We've made it bigger than life. We've made it all these things that it's not. But when we come back to basics and just recognize it's simple and we enjoy it, and we were perfectly built and made to enjoy it.
We all like to shop around for the biggest value at the
to be happy, have a healthy relationship with ourselves, feel good about ourselves, then we can learn to enjoy sex for ourselves. And it's just a choice. It's just a simple choice. And now that's for me as a woman, I'm gonna like break the internet by saying this is that I don't need foreplay. I don't need to be warmed up. I don't need my husband to do anything special or set the mood. It's just a simple choice. And then I'm ready to go. To me, that such a relief. It just pops the balloon of any pressure and making it bigger than it needs to be. And my husband and I have fun, and like I've shared a few times, better than it's ever been. And we don't need any special tricks or technique, or just me being me and being happy, and my husband being a good man, and life is good and sex is good. So that's how simple it is. We did it. I had a lot to say. You guys are a great audience. Thank you so much.
All right, we're gonna end this video here. We're gonna end watching Happy Wife's video here, and let me see what you guys are talking about in the comments. All right, so No News Podcast says, "Yep, there is a difference between a man and a male." Exactly. Uh, Mike Reed says, "Fix the courts and you fix the household." I agree. The problem with that is that you have more female voters than male voters. Um, Men are a lot more likely to lose their right to vote than women are, and women are overrepresented in the court systems and in academia, where a lot of the thought for this legislation comes up. It starts in academia, and men have gotten to the point to where they don't want to be bothered with the indoctrination of colleges and universities, and so it that is the that is the right way to go. It's just easier said than done, you know. Um, I think men need to um like podcasts like mine, podcasts, you have a lot of different other podcasts where we're talking about this stuff and how legislation needs to change and stuff. You know, I think what our problem is is we have a lot of panty sniffers out there who, what about what you even say? Them guys, as y'all know, I can't really stand them guys. It's one thing when you're talking about, your wife, but they be concerned about women they're not even in the house with. They be concerned about women they're not even related to. What about you even say? The panty sniffers. That's what I call them. I call them panty sniffers. You know, these are the men that are the problem. These are, the dirty Macs, and there's a bunch of different terms for them. That but these are the men that are the problems. And we have to create a consequence for these type of men. And one of those consequences is we as men need to isolate them. We need to call them out on their bullshit. Then we need to isolate them. We need to definitely marginalize men like this. No News Podcast says the courts definitely gave them too much power. Facts. You and Mike Reed are on point with that, man. Mike Reed says they're never happy. You know, and it's because they don't have enough to things to occupy themselves. Women nowadays, they're not organically creative. They're all, it used to be where like women, you had the tasks and stuff that you had to do in order to make the household run. Okay. But then you had women, that they had other talents or they had other things to occupy their time and attention, like playing music, making clothes, painting, different things like that. These bitches nowadays don't do none of that. The only time they're painting is they're painting their face to look like makeup clowns. Other than that, they don't. It's like almost like there's not enough for them to do. You have the Martha Stewarts and different things like that who tried to teach them certain stuff. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. These women are talentless. They sit in front of the TV for hours. They talk about men who get home from work and sit in front of the TV with a beer all night. But these bitches do that shit all day. They sit in front of the TV all day and complain about what they don't have and where they ain't able to go and stuff. They are the men that they don't like. I say this all the time. Modern women have become the men that Big Mama warned them about and the men that they don't like. They don't have any talents. They don't do anything creative and enriching. They go to work and they do what their boss says. They come home and they bitch and complain and treat their spouses and kids bad. They go to church, if they go to church at all, or whatever religious center to, you know, to hear to see the show, and then they go home. Well, that's really Christianity. They go to see the show and they go home. They don't have enough to keep them engaged and entertained, and so they take out their boredom on the people around them. And that's the thing. Life is too easy. It's too easy to get things. It's too easy to achieve little things. And so they become bored. And they already like variety and constant stimulation. And the thing about it is they become addicted to that. And when they don't when that appetite isn't fed, they become insufferable and oppressive to others around them. And the thing about that is you have to manage women like their bosses at work manage. You have to give them busy work. You got to give them busy work. You got to give them busy work. You know, the stuff like that, like cleaning the house and stuff, served a dual purpose. Number one, it's a hygiene and order issue, but number two, it's also busy work. It keeps them out of trouble and keeps them from talking crazy to you and stuff like that. Guys nowadays are too weak to say, hey, this has got to be done. And then the court system and the social system says, oh, well, you as a man can't say that. We as men got to be like, fuck that. You don't tell me how to run my house. This is also why I'm a Second Amendment guy, because you're not going to come from the outside and tell me what to do in my house. You may catch a couple of life changes. I'm just saying, you might catch a couple of life changes. And you know, use your imagination and think how your life gonna get changed. But you know, you impede on my household, I might change your life. So this stuff has to be said. We as men, we have to. More men need to stand on principle. Uh, you know, shout out to Ti Son, stand on business. But more men need to stand on their principles. More men need to. Um, you need to be the man of your house. You need to be, even if you don't have anybody in your house. You need to stand on principle. You need to be um, you need to be the man of your house. You know, and I'm not saying be oppressive and you know be overbearing on somebody, but you need to stand on principle. And part of that principle is not tolerating disrespect, not tolerating outside interference, not tolerating you know bad attitudes, not tolerating uh you know female oppression. You know, this is important because it's an issue of maintaining your sanity as a man, you know. And even as men, we need to do things to enrich ourselves. We need to do things. We need to figure out uh, the things that we can develop our talents and explore different things with. Because once you stop learning, once you stop growing, what happens? You start dying. Okay. And so we need to find things to put our energy in when we're not working. Simply sitting in front of the TV all the time, it's not good. You know, simply you know, really simply being alone all the time is not good. And I know some of you guys call yourselves Sigmas and you know, oh, I'm a Sigma, I don't need to. Bullshit. It's bullshit. First of all, as a Sigma, it's not that you don't need the group. As a Sigma, you're good either being with the group or being on your own. It's not like an alpha who constantly needs people around him. A Sigma can do both. He likes his quiet time. He likes being with his people. And I think I'm gonna have to do another Sigma video because I did one a few years back, and I don't think I went far enough because you got a lot of guys running around here who call themselves Sigmas and they're actually Omegas or they're actually something else, you know, but they're not Sigmas, you know, um, because I'll tell you, an alpha and a sigma are pretty much on the same level. It's just that an alpha he needs to constantly be the face of something, whereas a sigma can, but he doesn't. It's not something where he has to do, but he can fill in where needed, and he keeps the alpha in check. That's a lot of things. That's a big thing too. A lot of guys call themselves sigmas are terrified of alphas. A sigma ain't terrified of nobody. You know, a sigma a sigma is an alternate leader. You know, a sigma is the people's champ. You know, if you ain't the people's champ, if you ain't one of them people that when the alpha ain't around, that the other betas and stuff consult to make the right moves, then you're not a sigma. You know, but we'll talk about that later. You know, Yeah, though the thing with the courts definitely gave them too much power. No News Podcast, shout out to him. That is definitely right. Him and Mike Reed were definitely on the right page with that because um, we see that these courts are way too skewed to what women want. Like in Florida, they had that legislation for pre prenatal child support because of the abortion thing. In order to keep women having babies, they came up with prenatal child support, which is stupid because who's that woman gonna charge if she don't even know whose baby that is? Who is that woman going to sue for child support if she don't know whose baby it is? This is why we need to come up with uh, child support fraud. This is why we need to come up with fraud charges for that so that men can defend themselves from being appointed a father. This woman can go to she can go to a sperm clinic, get herself pregnant with sperm that she bought, and then blame it on some guy she went on a couple of dates with. That's very that is a very likely scenario. It will happen. If it hasn't already happened, it will happen. Then what? No News Podcast says, suits you, brother. I got to get back to work, but I'll check in with you another time. Hey, I enjoyed you coming by, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So yeah, this is you know, we definitely got to fix the courts. We definitely men have men have to fix themselves, you know, and be men, stand on being men. And women have to fix themselves as well. They need to find something to do with themselves, and they need to come to grips with the fact that they are unhappy because it is them. It's more often than not, it is a they problem. You know. So um, on that note, I'm gonna shut this video down. I'll probably come back with another video today. It's highly likely of coming back. I got some other stuff I want to talk about. I might do a City Girls episode 2 because the City Girls are running wild, man. And this Fonnie Willis case, there's a lot going on in there that I would like to talk about because I think it's going to set a precedence for what's going to happen in the near future. With that, this is Royce Jay, Royce Media. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you guys for coming in and hitting the like buttons. Um, I will see you later, and y'all be safe out there and get your money. Peace.